Ow! Greetings, YouTube. This is DecKrash, better known as Brandon. Okay, just got back from watching Oblivion, which is a movie, one of the big movies I've really been wanting to see this year. So I'm decided to go ahead and do a little review of it for all of you. Before I start, okay. Normally, I try to be as lean on spoilers as possible whenever I do these reviews, but this one, for the sake of giving my complete opinion, I'm gonna have to spoil the living crap out of this movie. So if you have not seen it, I highly recommend you stop watching. If not, then hey, that's your business. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so with that out of the way. Okay, so we have this movie, Oblivion, which visually is absolutely stunning. It's done by the same guy that did the Tron Legacy, and if any of you have seen Tron Legacy, you know how absolutely gorgeous that movie looks visually. Oblivion does not fail to satisfy in that regard. Now, it takes place in the year 2077, where it tells that 60 years before, the Earth was attacked by aliens they simply call scavengers or scavs. These aliens destroyed the moon, causing massive tidal shifts and tsunamis and earthquakes that pretty much wiped out all the cities. The rest of the alien troops were taken care of with nukes, so that the surface of the Earth looks like this bleak wasteland. Certain historical landmarks are buried so deeply under massive amounts of rock and silt and dust that, and this is like 60 years have passed, so trees and plants have started to grow over that, so it looks like wilderness with pieces of like the Empire State Building and the Washington Monument and things like that sticking out of nothing. Pieces of buildings that have been fused with cliff sides and such. When they show just what the world looks like in the little explorations in this bubble ship that Tom Cruise's character has in the movie, it's nothing short of stunning, gorgeously yet heartbreakingly bleak. So Tom Cruise plays Jack Harper, who with his partner and, well, I guess either lover or wife. The movie is never completely clear on that. Victoria. They're one of the few humans left on Earth, stationed in this little base that's on like a huge stilt up in the sky. They are basically technicians left over performing mop-up to get rid of the few remaining scavs and make sure that the drones that are being operated from one of the last bases of humanity, which is this huge tetrahedral thing in low Earth orbit called the TET. These drones are basically monitoring, protecting these huge machines that are sucking up the ocean water for fusion power to be sent to Titan, where the last human colony is supposed to be. Well, after a series of circumstances in which Jack finds this crash-landed piece of an old spacecraft with human survivors, one whom he protects from one of the drones that are basically programmed to kill on sight. Believe me, everything is a scav. He rescues this girl and brings her back to the base, and immediately there's this like clash between personalities between her and his between the girl and Victoria. So they go back because the girl, what was her name? Cannot remember. Oh, Julia. So anyway, Jack and Julia, who is the girl that he rescued from the crash site, go back to the crash site to retrieve the flight recorder. But she's saying that her mission was classified. Well, during that time, they're rescued. Excuse me, they're captured. Sorry, by the scavs, who Jack finds out were actually humans. This becomes a thing of the everything you know is wrong type of storyline. So you pretty much can figure what's going to happen after that. He finds out that they're humans, they're the last few humans that are left on Earth, and what the Tet really is. Well, at first they don't give him the whole story. They tell him go into what they consider the radiation zones, and you'll get your answers there. These are like on board his bubble ship. They have sort of overlaid in this visual screen, sort of like a red wall, showing like don't go across that red wall. That's high radiation zones. Well, when he goes, what happens is that Jack is, of course, understandably really confused at this point, realizing there are humans on Earth. Why are there still humans on Earth? He thought that all the humans had been evacuated and were on Titan. Titan's one of Saturn's moons, for those of you who don't know. Anyway, so he goes to what's left of the Empire State Building, and that's where Julia confesses that she was his wife, and that he was an astronaut on board this space shuttle that was actually sent 60 years ago to investigate the Tet when it had appeared in Earth's solar system. So what happens is he goes back to the station that he and Victoria were stationed on, but Victoria happened to see through the cameras that are inside the bubble ship. Jack and Julia having a moment, and well, she gets understandably pissed. So she tells the what was her name? I'm reading this off of Wikipedia just to make sure I got the names correctly. Okay, so Sally, that was the name of the flight commander. They're in communication supposedly with the Tet, but this woman named Sally. And as the movie progresses, you kind of start getting suspicious about Sally not being, of course, what she is, what she seems to be. So she tells Sally that their mission has been compromised, and so drones are sent. This drone is activated and tries to kill Jack, but ends up killing Victoria. And then Julia has to destroy the drone from her ship. So anyway, these other drones are sent to get rid of Jack, but Jack manages to evade them and stop them, but not before his bubble ship is destroyed, and they go over the line into these radiation zones, where they encounter another Jack. And so, yeah, this is one of those moments where you're like, what the blankety blank is going on? And so, as the story progresses, you learn, they go back to the scavs, the survivors, and they finally tell them the whole story, is that this alien device, the Tet, appeared in Earth's solar system, came to Earth, destroyed the moon. Now, they're not clear in the explanation as to whether or not nukes were really used. I'm more of the mindset that basically all these structures were destroyed because you see giant craters everywhere. But in these areas where you have the giant craters where you would first think that it was nukes that were used, there's no radiation. He's able to walk around these areas perfectly fine. And if you have zones where he can't go to because of radiation, well, if he's in this bubble ship which doesn't have shielding against radiation, well, surely you're going into an area where a nuclear bomb was obviously used, and he's not getting radiation poisoning. So most likely it was probably pieces of the moon that fell to Earth. Once again, I have to make another Cowboy Bebop reference in which, like, after this gate accident, the moon was broken into a million pieces, and all the time pieces of the moon, or huge pieces of the moon, are falling to the surface of the Earth. The human race lives underground for protection. So, and I think that's what's going on right here. It's just the surface of the Earth is just constantly being pelted by moon rocks. Alright, all that aside, he learns the full story is that the Tet came, blew up the moon, the tidal forces and earthquakes pretty much wiped everything out at first, and then they started sending shock troops down, which were all copies of Jack. Wiped out almost the entire human race, and then they started sending down the drones to guard and watch over the operations of these machines that are sucking out the ocean water to give this Tet device power. So yeah, it's a pretty big turnaround realizing that, oh my god, I've been working for the enemy all along. Now the reason why I'm spoiling the living daylights out of this movie is simply because I'm going to be getting to that point when I talk about how I feel about the movie in and of itself. So in the end, of course, these survivors had actually been building a big bomb out of the power cores of all these drones, and it's up to Jack to go and send this back up to the Tet. Now that you can watch the rest of this, and you can watch the rest of the movie, and see what happens with that. It's a pretty cool ending. Anyway, now to how I felt about the movie. This movie seems to, and I watched some reviews of it myself. Now I spoiled myself of this on this movie. I spoiled myself of the movie's ending after watching a review by Movie Bob. He does Escape to the Movies on escapistmagazine.com. I highly recommend you watch him. He's really cool, really funny, really insightful. Anyway, Movie Bob gave an interesting overview. He didn't like the movie, and I can understand why. Because here's the big lingering question. You have an alien AI. That's pretty much what the Tet is. It's an alien AI that came to Earth and started stealing its energy. And started stealing its water for energy. So, why would an alien AI that obviously shows the capability to create drones, attack drones, en masse, why would it need humans? Why would it even need why would it need humans to do its dirty work? Why couldn't it just manufacture millions of drones and just have sent them to Earth to wipe out the human race? Why would it even need humans to repair the drones? Couldn't it just make other drones to repair the drones? It obviously has the technology to wipe out our moon, because they show the moon is like cracked in half and huge, with a big huge belt of moon rocks around it. It has the ability to destroy a natural satellite of a planet and create countless drones specifically with the purpose of destroying humans, and to clone humans. You see that when they go on board the ship, there are these tanks just like full of copies of Jack and Victoria, because they were the astronauts that actually got sucked into the Tet when they came to investigate. They explain that in the movie. So, why would such a being or device or whatever even need humans to do its dirty work? Now, I gave it a little bit of thought, and I could say it like this. We're not told exactly what this thing is or where it came from. I mean, well, we know it's an alien AI. But it would have helped if they would have given a little bit of backstory to it. A simple question of, even Jack probably might have just been a little bit curious, seeing how that was one of the cruxes of his personality in the story. He's very curious about human civilization, loves the planet Earth, and has been haunted by memories that he doesn't understand, because he and his partner had to get their memories wiped anyway. His partner has shown absolutely no interest in anything except their mission. She's, for all intents and purposes, just a meat robot, it seems. But anyway, why wouldn't he just simply have asked the AI, why would you even need us? That would have been a very interesting question to ask. It probably would have fit in with Jack's character, and I think would have made the story a little bit more believable in that respect. Movie Bob kind of said that it kind of pulls something like you would see in an M. Night, in a really badly made M. Night Shyamalan movie. I don't consider it that bad, but it does beg the question, why would they need humans? So, my thought is simply that maybe this AI system was limited in its capabilities. Perhaps it was built by an alien race, it pulled a Skynet, and though it was able to travel to different worlds and use machines to gather up, its resources that it needs, perhaps it had to allocate resources in a certain way so that it wouldn't run out of energy, because of course it would need to go to another planet after it was done with Earth. So maybe building a whole army of droids would be a bit too taxing on its own resources. That's at least a theory. But then again, I'm a huge nerd. This movie, despite its flaws, really tickled my imagination. But that really didn't bother me per se. But I can understand why it would for some people. And I was actually kind of grateful that I spoiled myself on this movie just in this respect. And so, with that in mind, I can understand why some people might not like this movie. And though some might be able to overlook the whole shortcoming there and find it a very enjoyable movie. The acting was quite good, pretty much all around. Tom Cruise always shows he's a pretty decent, well, Tom Cruise is an excellent actor. We have Andrea Riseborough playing Victoria. She was almost like a stoic ice queen. You never could tell what she was thinking. And that was kind of an interesting thing because of her character not really caring to know the truth, or because she's just do everything by the book, by the regulations. You never get a glimpse into her heart, wondering, is she just avoiding asking these questions because she has glimpses of memory too, and just doesn't want to face that? Or is it simply because the machines just did a good job of wiping her mind? There is a flashback in the movie that shows a suggestion that her character, that her original self did have a thing for Jack, even though he was married, but it's not really clearly done. It's not really clearly expressed. Olga Kurilenko, she's the one who played Julia. I can understand why some people would say that she didn't have much of a personality. She was way too soft-spoken, a little bit too femme fatale-ish, in my humble opinion. Well, she did okay with what she was given. She just didn't have as big a role, though it did have a good impact on the story, regardless. Morgan Freeman, he was the leader of the last human resistance, and well, he's Morgan Freeman. I don't think I've ever seen Morgan Freeman do a bad role. Okay, maybe it's just because he's freaking Morgan Freeman. Okay. So acting-wise, the movie does a pretty good job, even though some characters... Let me say it like this. When they finally meet the human survivors, they're not really given that much of a part. And so you don't feel fully invested in their struggle. They seem to be more for exposition's sake. And that's just how I see it. There are parts that... like one particular character, I forget his name, but he doesn't really have much of a speaking role. He's very taciturn, doesn't trust Jack, and after a certain series of events, ends up earning Jack's trust, but it's really more expressed in actions than words. And all the rest of the ones that are either fighting the machines are running and screaming. So like the scene in the Matrix Revolutions when they're fighting against the machines attacking Zion. So acting-wise, just for the main characters, is pretty good. Story-wise, I will agree with some of the reviewers and say this thing was a little bit lean on plot, but the scope and vision and actual twists and turns of said plot make up for it. It's better than... Okay. There are some movies, I'm pretty sure especially if you're a big sci-fi nerd like me, that you see that a movie had a very thin plot but tried to make up for it using flashy visual effects. And of course, that's where I just have my saying, flashy visual effects do not a good movie make. Stargate, the original Stargate movie, is a prime example of this. Amazing visual effects for the time it was made. Great scenery and everything like that. the story fell flat on its face. It was interesting, but not very engaging. Oblivion is a little bit above that because the story is interesting and it is somewhat engaging, and the visual effects and scenery and cinematography really pull you in. It really makes you a part of that world. I mean, just seeing the amazing job they did with those visuals. I mean, as I said this before in a review of like an old video game I played, it's like it makes my eyes feel like they need to smoke a cigarette. That's how sexy the visuals are in this movie, and they really set the tone and the milieu, and just really pull. Like I said, it pulls you in, makes the movie come alive. And that, despite the thinness of the plot, works out really well. So we got good acting, good visuals, decent plot, could have been better. Visual effects, as I already said, top notch. That bubble ship and the flight and designs, everything like that is just really cool. I just wish that they would have explained a few things a little bit better than they did. But on the whole, this movie, in my opinion, earns a solid 7 out of 10. It is a little bit above average, but not by much. But it's still well worth watching. If you wanted to go see it, you know, despite the fact that I kind of spoiled the living daylights out of it, you know, I'd highly recommend you go see it. You know, so those of you who have not watched the movie and are watching this, hey, I warned you I was going to spoil it, but I sincerely hope you do go check it out. It's really worth seeing, I think. And I really enjoyed it. I think it was worth the wait. It wasn't quite as good as I had hoped it would be, but it was still pretty darn good. And so, I think I've said all that I can say about Oblivion. I recommend you go see it if you saw it, and just let me know what you think down in the comment section. Keep it civil as always. I will destroy trolls. Destroy them. But until next time, everyone, this is DecKrash, better known as Brandon. And as always, stay lucky and stay blessed. See ya.